Guys, today we are going to talk about the 3 different stances because I had a comment and someone asked me about how we defend on the forehand side. So to teach you guys how to defend on the forehand side, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to teach the 3 stances today and then talk about how we use those 3 stances maybe in the next video to defend on the forehand. Okay, so the 3 stances. The first one is going to be a closed stance. This is the one that you see most beginners using. That's where our feet are parallel, and then from there we have them rotate and step around the leg. Okay, so what is closed stance used for? Closed stance is used for approach shots. Okay, and when you're running really far off the court and you're going for it, you plant the leg and then you rotate and you can fire a ball cross court or down the line. So closed stance after you begin playing tennis is used about 5 to 10% of the time. Okay, now the most universal stance in tennis is the neutral stance. Okay, in a neutral stance, I want you to think of it as someone throwing a punch. We do it in neutral stance. So you're not going to see someone turn aside and then step and punch, probably, right? Same thing with a quarterback throwing a ball. You're going to see this leg out and then they're going to throw. Okay, so the neutral stance, all that is where I have my right leg out if I'm a righty and my left leg is out to the left so that I have this balance. Okay, and now from here I'm going to shift my weight from my right leg to my left leg forward. Now, why does this work? Okay, the reason this works is if I stay in closed stance and I don't step around with my leg, okay, and I just rotate, look what happens. I'm falling off balance, right? So the stance is used for the hop step, right? Which means the hop step when coming in for the approach shot and the side. So if I'm just hitting back and forth and someone starts hitting really fast and I'm in closed stance and they hit it right at me, what's going to happen? I'm going to get jammed because I'm turning aside too much. So if I have this leg off to the side, now I'm turned, okay? And now I can open up and I don't have this leg messing me up with my timing and staying too turned. So neutral stance is used 85% of the time. That's what you see on tour. Sorry, there's some coyotes howling. I don't know if you guys can, if this camera picks it up or not. Just looking in the distance. And then the third stance is going to be your open stance. Now this is a stance that gets confused. Yeah, so tough with classic and the current tennis. Everyone says one of the biggest fallacies you hear is that the open stance was not used back in the day. It was. I made a video with Borg, Mack, and all those guys. Laver used open stance. So open stance has always been around. It's a myth that it hasn't. Now the commentators again use it interchangeably, open and neutral, and I think that's what confuses a lot of people. So much that open stance, let me explain what it is first. Open stance is where my feet are parallel. I put my racket down there straight here and players just rotate. So they say, yeah, just rotate. You don't have enough time, rotate and hit. At the club level, in 3-5 level, I would just say use closed stance and step into the ball and bring that leg around. And then once you get to 4-0, you can start using more neutral and stuff if you prefer as you keep progressing the ladder. But open stance, as I stated in my previous videos, is used as a teaching tool, right? Is when I use it, especially for the lower levels. So I'll use it maybe if I have a player that's like just keeps getting jammed when I have them in closed stance and doesn't understand about opening up the hip and rotating. So sometimes I found that people catch on quicker using this as a teaching tool. So, and I say that, I'm like, hey, I'm going to use this just to help you rotate, but I always want you stepping in with your front foot, because at the club level, a lot of players don't hit fast enough for you to hit open stance. Okay, so that doesn't make sense. But neutral stance is fine because in neutral stance, I'm still hitting into the ball. All right, so those are your 3 stances. You have your closed stance, you have your neutral stance. And I should say, if you're like, what the heck is the semi-open or semi-closed stance? That's also used for the neutral stance. That's just another name for the neutral stance. Why it has 3 names, no idea. But I was going to tell you this story about the open stance because it's the thing that I see with club players the most and younger juniors. I had this player, he had a lot of talent, good little lefty kid, and his dad did like 3 private lessons with a great coach, a great player. All right, I just think it was a communication issue. Um, Maybe because he was from a different country and is just a language barrier. I don't know. But he came to me in one of my clinics, one of my high performance clinics when he was about 10, 11, something like that. And the dad's like, I only want my kid hitting open stance. I just had 3 private lessons with this guy and he's hitting really well. I don't want to change it. I'm like, so much I had to stop my clinic. It actually messed me up. This was when I was younger pro, and now I don't care anymore. I don't try and I've proved myself enough. I don't have to say anything now that I have enough top, built enough top players. But I told him, I was like, dude, I'm like, there's no way. He's a lefty. I'm like, there's no way that he's going to just be able to hit open stance and jump at the ball. So I sent him this Verlander video about him talking about stepping in the ball and all this stuff. But you see these guys. If you think about it, if you think that open stance works and you should be doing it, I want you to think about a punch again, okay? I've never seen someone punch like this. How much power are you going to get from just staying here and punching without getting your body weight into it, or throwing a football? It's silly, right? And so the reason the pros use open stance and at college level, and I do, is when I get dragged out wide, and I just had a video on this where I taught how to do this, but when they pull you out wide, I don't have enough time and I have to do something quick, and that helps me explode back into the court. So if you're just standing there waiting for the ball and you're hitting open stance, you're probably doing it wrong. And so that's what I had to explain. And then once I fixed his stance and got him in the neutral stance, I knew the kid was going to be good. From there, it was just hand-eye coordination and practice at that young age, So go ahead, think about these stances. Go watch at the U.S. Open, practice them, and you'll see that neutral stance is the one that's going to be best for 4.0s and above. I think closed stance is best for 3.5 and below. And, as you increase to 4.0 and above, you can start using that open stance for pulling off the court and whatnot. But until next time, guys, and I'll share with you guys how to avoid getting broken down on that forehand corner as much.